now that I've arrived here, it is exactly what I thought it was going to be, albeit without the colour. I absolutely love it when a plan comes together. Mid-October, shouldn't be snowing right now. Wow! Look at this for an autumnal view.
One very important part of a landscape photography trip is planning. And when I came across this next location, I knew I wanted to include it as part of my journey. Dells Mills is a disused mill built in 1864 during the American Civil War, and is apparently one of the most photographed places in all of Wisconsin. The problem I encountered, however, was that it was further north than the current autumn colour. But still, I decided it would remain on my list as I felt the scene itself would be worth it. So I ventured northwest on a journey of discovery. Would there be any colour left? Come join me and see.
When you decide to come and photograph a location and you commit to doing that, it is I suppose a big aspect in regard to discovery, because the distance that I travelled today is approximately 2 hours of a drive, and for that 2 hours of a drive I knew as I was coming up, because it's going further north, that the colours would have been pretty much diminished or almost gone, and I've arrived here and it's exactly as I expected. I was hoping for a small bit of colour remaining, but I wasn't really overly hopeful either for the same thing. But where I've come to is a place, when I was doing some research, I said, okay, I want to come here. It's the Dells Mill, and when I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be in a place called the Wisconsin Dells, which I'm actually heading to later today. But when I looked on the map, it seemed that it was further north and west than what I had originally expected. But I decided that, you know what, it will be worth it. I think it's a nice picturesque scene. And now that I've arrived here, it is exactly what I thought it was going to be, albeit without the colour. But it still does present a nice shot. There are some leaves that are remaining on either side as well of where I am at the moment. So I imagine this place in the autumn peak would be absolutely beautiful. But I'm just going to get a composition set up here, and I'll come back in a moment and I'll explain what I'm using, why I'm using it, and the type of shot that I'm going for. Having gotten the camera set up here now, I'm on a bridge which is right again by the roadside, and we've got this old mill which obviously was functioning at one point but is no longer functioning now, and the water above it is completely flat, which is great, and then it comes down through the cascade. It's a cloudy day, so I don't have much to deal with in regards to highlights, but nonetheless there is a stark difference between the light that's below me here and then the light that's in the sky as well in the far distance. So I'm using 3 filters on the camera. I'm using the polarizer because I want to remove the glare that's in the bottom half of the water after it comes through the cascade. I'm using the 0.9 ND grad to control the sky, and then I've put in as well my Lee little stopper, so that will give me 6 stops of extra exposure, which will allow me to have a long enough exposure to be able to get enough light into the foreground area down here, whilst containing it as well on the top by the sky, and then obviously the polarizer coming into effect as well on that. For me to get a good depth of field, I'm shooting at f11, and my exposure time at the moment is on 20 seconds. That is because I have my ISO down to 50, but I'll change that now as well in a moment and put my ISO up to 100, which will influence obviously the period of time then that I have for my exposure time as well there. But this is a lovely scene. I do think I'm going to get a nice shot from here, even though there isn't much remaining of any autumnal colours. It's more like a winter scene, albeit without the cold that would normally come in this part of northern Wisconsin. One final shot here. I've come around to the back of the building itself, and it's to the area where the water is flat. I couldn't see any way to get around to the other side here, but as I was coming around the back, as you can see behind me, there are some remnants of autumnal colours here with the yellows that are on the trees. Such a pity that they're not on the other side, because it would be a really nice aspect to the frame or to the scene that I'm shooting. And I'm shooting across here because there's some flat water, like I mentioned. You've got only left with brown on the leaves of the trees. There's a small bit of yellow right in the background, but what I'm more interested in is the rock and the patterns that are in the rock, because with the flat water, it's obviously giving them a mirror-like view, and also, you know, they're quite Jurassic, I suppose, in their texture and in their shape. This area of Wisconsin is pretty much a flat area, but it does have pockets of rock like this, and also areas that I believe are called the driftless zones. So they're areas that when the ice age and the glaciers came through, the glacier flattened everything, but certain areas it didn't do it. So you've got little pockets of hills, and you've got pockets of rocks and so forth like that, as we see right here. But for this photo, I'm looking to try and get the reflections, like I say, a very simple composition. I would think that in peak this place would be absolutely gorgeous, but unfortunately I couldn't get here when I wanted to get here, and in a way I'm glad that I'm still here right now, because all in all it's still a lovely scene as well itself. I hope you've enjoyed exploring this quite quaint building. I certainly have enjoyed coming here. I've enjoyed the exploration. It was definitely worth the drive that I had to take, obviously, to get here, but from the shots point of view as well, I do think we'll get some nice photos out of this scene as well itself. So I'm going to check out now from this episode of my vlog. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do hope you enjoyed the content. If it's your first time on the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, and until the next time, slán go fóill.